me see. We're going on to a quote from CM Punk right here. When he came out, it says, "I did not lose. I beat The Rock and retained my championship. I'm the champion. I'm the people's champion. Me, nobody else. I did not lose. You're all cheaters, cheap, no good thieves, swindlers, just like Vince McMahon, just like The Rock. I got screwed. I got screwed." I agree 100%.
You agree that he got screwed?
No, he cheated, and then he got what was coming to him.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't agree with that. In storylines, get it, completely understand it. But as a person who just loves CM Punk, and I love The Rock too, but The Rock had a great match at the Rumble, but he's not going to be having great matches on Raw for the next 4 months. He's going to be out the door. There's going to be a WrestleMania hangover.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think you can go into WrestleMania thinking that The Rock is going to win that match.
No. But you have to go into WrestleMania thinking you're going to be like, we're building. And as soon as WrestleMania, you're going to wake up next morning, you're going to be like, oh, what's happening? Because Monday Night Raw, it's over.
Yeah.
You don't have The Rock around anymore. I bet you Chris Jericho leaves. Brock Lesnar just signed a new deal, but he'll only be around for a few months here and there. So you're left with your stars who are competing year round.
I wanted to mention, it was on website, one of our good friends here, WrestleChat.net. And they had a poll up. It was talking about, of the rumored matches for WrestleMania, which are you most excited about? And just looking at that list, the majority of the matches included superstars who aren't full-time.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, think about that, and what does that say about your product? On your biggest night, you're relying on old faces and part-timers. I mean, that's really what you're showing the world. That's what you're showing the people who aren't watching every week. Yeah. This is what we are. When in reality, the people who are making money for you week in and week out aren't going to be there.
That's true. That's what always disappoints me too. But like WrestleMania is so big, where it's like getting all your all your big movie stars together for one big movie, and that's what WrestleMania is now. But in 10 years, when say Kofi Kingston's not around anymore, we'll be happy to see Kofi Kingston, because they'll be like a new star, and he'll be fighting like, oh, returning Kofi Kingston, and you'll be like, oh my god. So Kofi Kingston will be, the Chris Jericho when Chris Jericho cannot wrestle any longer.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. But I was thinking the whole idea of bringing people back in order to create these matchups that we've never seen before kind of goes back to something we were talking about last week, where on weekly TV, we're seeing superstars fighting superstars. Yeah. It's not like in the old days where they were fighting jobbers, and the only time you really saw the big stars fight each other were at the big events. At this point, we've seen Dolph Ziggler fight Randy Orton a million times. So if you put that up at WrestleMania, everyone's going to be like, well, I've seen that before. Yeah. So now they have to rely on these old guys coming back in order to create matchups we've never seen before.
Dream matches.
Right. And it makes me wonder if the whole idea... Remember when Raw was separate from Smackdown?
Yeah, yeah.
And the two rosters, they didn't fight each other.
Yeah.
So then at least you could still, with your current roster, make matches with guys who had risen up on their respective shows. But now that it's all kind of mashed up into one big roster, you can't do that anymore.
No, it's the way it is now, where we need to keep producing big shows, bigger events, bigger venues for WrestleMania, and the only way to do that is with your guaranteed stars.
Yeah, and it seems like the WWE mentality is just like more. We need more shows. We need to have more online content. We need to be everywhere at every time. And I think, is it kind of diluting the product a bit? Like, should there be maybe less and more of a build up on fewer shows? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Right. I would say, though, more shows, more eyeballs, but wrestling matches, you need to showcase people you haven't seen. Like, there needs to be, the NXT show needs to be on, I don't know, Sci-Fi or the CW on a Thursday or a Saturday or a Sunday. It needs to be on TV, because it doesn't have to be perfect, because it's just rookies trying out and being who they are. If you get a 1 million rating, well, then it's good to you, because you're beating shows that are reruns of Law and Order on USA.
It's true.
Like, why can't you just put out new products? You're filming them, Why not show the world?
Yeah.
That show Superstars is on Wednesdays on WWE.com. Same thing. Why isn't that show on a channel? It could get a decent rating, but you're seeing the primetime players. You're seeing Yoshitatsu. You're seeing wrestlers who aren't as established as a Dolph Ziggler or a Kofi Kingston. But speaking of great moments in wrestling, I'm going to move on to my favorite segment of the night where the Great Khali sang Shawn Michaels' theme song, karaoke style.
Do you think he can read?
To be honest, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Or his brain, he did have brain surgery, so maybe like a few of his brain cells aren't working properly, so when a word show up, he reads them, then his brain clicks in, and then the word's already moved, so he's behind.
But he was ahead.
He actually was ahead. Because if you watch wrestling at all, I think you can sing a few of the wrestling theme songs. It's right through, without missing a beat, and that, I think, is one of them. And the Great Khali clearly just showed he wasn't a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I mean, the Great Khali, other than like, wow, that guy's big.
Big.
What really does he bring to the table?
Wow, that guy can't walk.
Yeah, it's like painful watching him. Like like when he came down the Royal Rumble and like struggled to get in the ring, and then he's coming over with these really slow chops. Like,
I'm gonna tap you on the head.
Oof, man.
JBL quoted on that night, "Shawn Michaels is rolling over in his grave, and he's not even dead yet."
Wow.
So that's how JBL is telling you how he feels.
JBL.
It's just JBL. Terrible wrestler when I watched him as a heavyweight champion when he became JBL, but I liked him as Justin, Hawk Bradshaw, Blackjack Bradshaw, and then he was in the Acolytes with the Ministry of Darkness.
Yeah, and the APA protection agency.
Yep. And then he was by himself, like as Bradshaw. And I liked him then, and then he just became a political figure as a character, and he had a group called the Cabinet, and he came down in a limousine, and it just never. I never got into it, and he was head champion for a long time.
Yeah. I kind of like him in the booth now, though, because he can be kind of that heel commentator, and it's not so much Michael Cole anymore, because when Michael Cole was trying to do that role, it was just annoying.
He's terrible. So Cody Rhodes ended up fighting John Cena on Monday Night Raw, and of course, John Cena beats him.
Squash.
And then right after the match, he announced who he's going to fight at WrestleMania. Well, he wants to fight for the WWE Championship. And during all this, the Shield comes down and just destroys John Cena. And then Sheamus comes down to help him, and then Ryback comes down to try to help him. The Shield destroy them all. And then we go to SmackDown. Sheamus is out there. The Shield comes down, beat the bejesus out of Sheamus. Well, guess what?
No John Cena.
No John Cena. No Ryback. You telling me only on Monday nights John Cena can help you out, and Sheamus can help you out? Hey, Sheamus is a good guy. So is Ryback, I guess. They come down, help you out, John, but then you move on to Friday Night SmackDown, and you're too good? Too good to help your buddy Sheamus?
Man, maybe we had John Cena all wrong.
Yeah. Everyone thought he was a good person.
The whole back to that Cena promo on Monday, he took like 10 minutes to say what we all knew he was going to say.
Yep.
He's going to challenge for the WWE Championship. And I love how he just kind of wrote off the World Heavyweight Champion. He was just like, yeah, whoever it is, I'm just going to kill him.
I'm just not interested. Yeah. Dario's like, oh, thanks. Yeah, but he said, by the sound of it, some of you didn't pick me to win the Royal Rumble, as acknowledging the boos in the crowd.
Right.
And clearly he should recognize that people just don't like him sometimes. I like him as a person. I've never met him, but he's the #1 Make-A-Wish Foundation asked performer or actor or wrestler. And that, to me, shows a lot of character, because that makes him a really taking his private time and going out on his way and, wishing these kids their wishes. But as a wrestler, I just don't care for him.
Yeah, and whenever you hear interviews with wrestlers and they bring up John Cena, everyone loves him. Everyone says he's such a great guy, and all the veterans say, like, oh, he's done so much for the company, and, we really respect him. So, I mean, I've never met him either, but everyone says he's a great guy. But I agree, as a character, I'm not really invested in him, but I don't think he's for us.
Yeah.
I think he's for the kids.
It's true.
So, let the kids like him.
Yeah. And then later in the night, The Rock had his interview, and CM Punk came down to interfere, but The Rock just just let me read a few of those little fun little quotes for you. He called CM Punk.
Well, wait, can we? All right. So he first came out.
Yes.
And, he did the look at the crowd and everyone's going crazy. He's like, one word sums it all up. And he goes, finally. I wrote down chills. Because I got chills.
You got chills.
That was pretty great. But then he goes on with this other promo kind of saying like, oh, yeah, I'm the champion or whatever. And it felt really dull.
Yes.
But then he starts making fun of CM Punk and Paul Heyman.
Yep.
And he's The Rock again, and he's great. So you can read a couple of those quotes.
He said to Paul Heyman, he's not thinking about CM Punk. He's thinking about if he has a big bra enough to hold his Twinkie tits.
Yeah, and then the Twinkie tits.
And then Twinkie tits chant, obviously.
Started up, which was, I'm sure everyone loved in the truck.
And CM Punk came down and he started, belittling The Rock, telling him he's going to fight him at Elimination Chamber for the Heavyweight Championship. And The Rock says, you can either come down here and face me like a man or stand up there on stage like a punk-ass bitch.
Yep.
CM Punk just turns around the microphone. He's like, I'm going to go stand on the stage like a punk-ass bitch because it's cool to swear.
Yeah, that was a good line.
Like, I was so happy. I was like clapping watching my television.
Yeah. No, because that kind of going back to my original point, when The Rock kind of tried to play it straight, like, oh, yeah, I'm a good champion and I'm going to be here. Everyone's like,
I don't believe
all right, yeah, okay, who cares? But then when he's The Rock swearing and insulting everybody, everyone's like, yeah, Rock,
he's the best.
Be a star.
But for 434 days, CM Punk was heavyweight champion, and then The Rock just swoops right in and takes it from him.
I think he had a pretty good run.
CM Punk? Oh, yeah. Well, if you go 434 days, beating every single wrestler there ever is on the roster.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I can't believe you've been
What?
thinking it's just okay.
Sarcasm, Steve.
Well, another interview of the night, Chris Jericho returned to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
And Jericho, Ziggler, those two are on the road to WrestleMania, and that pumps me up. But Jericho also made
he made a breast joke.
He made a breast joke about Big E Langston, and he asked him, what does the E stand for? Your bra size, because those are some giant pecs. I could put a drink on those things.
Yeah, that was good too. Again, another guy who really relies on the insult and the bullying.
Yeah, he was
in order to be a star.
He was back to his old Y2J ways though, going never, ever, and he had the whole crowd in his palm of his hand, and that's what makes Chris Jericho Chris Jericho.
Yeah, it's great. I'm glad to have him back.
But we had the Raw Roulette spun the wheel, and I believe it was called Strange Bedfellows, where Dolph Ziggler and Chris Jericho had to team up to fight Team Hell No, and Chris Jericho just showed Dolph Ziggler in that match. He's like, you know what? I don't really care about you. He walks away. Team Hell No wins.
And Ziggler, of course, gets pinned.
Of course, he's been driving left and right, and he's the Money in the Bank cash.
Just when you think they're gonna finally push him over the edge, they pull him right back.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just sometimes that happens way too much with wrestlers, where anybody is pushed and pushed and pushed, and then they're like, you know what? We're not really interested in pushing you anymore. Or they get to a certain month, like, oh, sorry, it's WrestleMania season, or it's almost SummerSlam, so we can't really push you anymore. It's like, well, what the fuck was the point of pushing me for 4 or 5 months? Jack Swagger, Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, Wade Barrett. It's happened to them all, where you're push and push and push, and then, by the way, you're done.
Yeah, and I think in Ziggler's case, he just makes people look good. Mm-hmm. He's great at losing. I mean, he's like Ric Flair. Ric Flair wasn't known for being, such a great champion as much as he was for being able to put people over. And I think, unfortunately for Ziggler, he's kind of falling into that pattern. I
think he's too good at losing.
Exactly.
He looks too good doing it, and he makes everybody look better when he wrestles them. So what's the point? Like, hey, you're doing your job well. And I don't know if some wrestlers just think to themselves, well, I don't really want to be champion, or they're all trying to be number one, or they just or they're trying to like, hey, all I want to do is work the WWE. So you get there, and then you say to yourself, well, now I want to be tag champion, so on and so forth. But when you're there, you're like, sweet, I'm in the WWE, I got a job, I'm a wrestler. Like Kofi Kingston, do you think he must be heavyweight champion, or he's just happy being like, hey, I have a job?
Well, I think you can want both. I think you can be happy where you are and still. I mean, I think everybody wants to be that top guy. I was actually listening to Colt Cabana's podcast, and he brought that up, and he was saying that he actually doesn't want to be the top guy. He just wants to make a living in wrestling. He's like, I know, in order to be in this business, you're supposed to have that mentality of I want to be number one. but he doesn't. But also, he's not in the WWE. No offense, Colt.
He was there once.
Well, he's not now.
Right. He was only there for a few months.
Right.
I think it was Scotty Boom Boom.
Right. But maybe it was because he had that mentality. So I think in order to really be successful in everything, you need to have
Be cutthroat.
you need to be like, I'm gonna be number one. And if you're not, well, then you're Dolph Ziggler or Kofi Kingston, apparently.
True. And the big story of the night, it was obviously the Las Vegas Showgirls Lumberjill match. No, I'm not even talking about that because that was a debacle. That was a debacle
on my end.
Like, let's see if I get a quote. I'd like to get thrown out, JBL said on his match. He would like to be thrown out of the arena because that match was so terrible.
Wow. All right.
That's
go JBL.
That's JBL for you.
I'm actually coming around on him.
Well, then.
Very quickly.
The big story of Monday Night Raw Roulette live in Las Vegas was Vince McMahon's job review of Paul Heyman. And I got to tell you, I already said it earlier, but both of these two men, Vince McMahon and Paul Heyman, on top of their game.
Yeah, it's a great dynamic, the two of them. I mean, when Vince had the disinfectant after he touched Paul Heyman, that was great. And yeah, Heyman brings like the acting on that show to a completely different level. I mean, usually when you watch wrestling and you see them try to get angry or upset, it's over the top and it's so forced. You know, it's pretty much like soap opera acting.
Yep.
But Heyman, like, he looks legit.
He's a perfect just mix of, like, he's an evil genius, but yet has these eyes that could be sympathetic, but he's a liar. Right. So that makes everything, oh, well, I think I should trust him. And then he bites your hand.
Like, that wasn't me. No, that wasn't me. It was almost believable. Yeah. Like, you can understand how he had pretty much the entire ECW locker room fooled.
I almost thought that Vince McMahon would be like, well, I guess if that says it's not you, then I guess it's not you. But then Vince McMahon would never fall for that crap. But that was the big reveal that night. Paul Heyman just showing you don't have to be a good wrestler to be a good performer.
Absolutely.
And you could be an okay wrestler and get over on your character. And that's what he like Paul Heyman. I don't want to see him wrestle because he doesn't seem athletic. But I think someone would pay to see him. If they're like, hey, let's have a Paul Heyman interview for like 3 hours, and I'm like, I'm there, man.
Oh, absolutely.
See, I'm there.
No, and I mean the guy has T-shirts out there. He has signs.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a Paul Heyman guy. I mean, he's over, and he doesn't wrestle at all.
That's so true. But as Vince McMahon was about to fire Paul Heyman for showing the footage of Paul Heyman paying the Shield and paying Brad Maddox to do his bidding for him with CM Punk's reign, but now we haven't even seen, does CM Punk know this was happening? We only saw Paul Heyman there. Is CM Punk going to come out and be like, I'm not a Paul Heyman guy anymore because I was never involved with that. My championship reign was clean.
Well, he did say when CM Punk and I hire the Shield.
But CM Punk is the one making the money, so he's the one giving the money to Paul Heyman saying, hey, pay off these people because I need your help.
It's possible.
I think that's a good thing to look forward to on Monday. But the biggest news, I was so happy to see this because the internet did not figure this one out. When Brock Lesnar showed up to save Paul Heyman from being fired, I like that because I'll tell you what, that shows some goddamn loyalty. Brock Lesnar showing up to save Paul Heyman just to destroy Vince McMahon with an F5, breaking his pelvis.
Yes, breaking his pelvis.
Oh, God. It's this. Vince McMahon should know something. Jerry Lawler had a heart attack only a few months back. He wrestled, then he sat down, had a heart attack. Vince McMahon's out there getting F5'd, who's probably like 10 years older than Jerry Lawler.
Vince McMahon is 67 years old.
Oh, my God.
Well, I mean, although he was great as Mr. McMahon and his whole feud with Stone Cold was great, and when they fought at the Royal Rumble was fantastic, but I mean, the guy has no business being in the ring. Mm-hmm. And especially at his age now, he has no business taking F5s. I know the whole pelvis thing, it turns out it was a work because his hip was already injured.
Oh, from walking to the ring?
Which makes the whole decision even that much worse. Like, oh, I have a bad hip, so how about you F5 me?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
In order to make it believable that I'm out with this surgery. So, I mean, Vince McMahon's a nut. Well,
Vince in Brock Lesnar's face was saying, if I were you, I wouldn't do something I'd regret later. And that pretty much, when he F5'd him, that sealed the deal. Brock Lesnar and Triple H, WrestleMania. Because that's a great storyline.
Yep, Triple H needs to defend his father-in-law.
But now Paul Heyman's going to get his ass kicked by Triple H at some point in time.
Right. And now there's that void where Vince McMahon's not there anymore, so someone needs to be overseeing operations. And, of course, being the chief talent scout or whatever his official title is.
Oh, Triple H has to return.
Triple H is going to have to show up and lay down the law.
I love Paul Heyman. He said, I have lied every day of my stinking life because I am a promoter, and that's what promoters do. I want to be here. If it takes being an honorable man to be here, damn it, that's what I'll be. I don't think Vince McMahon ever believed anything he said.
Yeah. I believed him, though.
Did you?
I did.
Well,
I'm a Paul Heyman guy.
Well, I'm a Paul Heyman guy, too. And you know who should be a Paul Heyman guy, and I bet was a Paul Heyman guy, was on SmackDown when Jack frickin' Swagger returned to SmackDown with a beard and a little bit of a gut.
Wow.
He's back, baby, and he beat Kofi Kingston. Again, Kofi Kingston jobbing left and right.
Poor Kofi.
And he beat him in a way where the theme was Elimination Chamber's coming up. Booker T and Teddy Long want to evaluate some talent. See you all in some singles competition. Jack Swagger returned, beat Kofi Kingston. I think he's a lock-in for Elimination Chamber match on SmackDown. And that brings back some talent now. We have a few pure wrestlers back in the land of SmackDown and the WWE.
Yeah, I didn't see that match.
And the tag team division seems to be dissolving right in front of my eyes on SmackDown as well, because Team Road Scholars just broke up. Well, Team Hell No seems to be breaking up soon with storyline-wise. What's left?
Yeah, I mean, you got, the primetime players...
Well, the Usos, you have Primo and Epico, Zack Ryder and Santino sometimes are together. It looks like Bros Clay and Lord Tensai are going to suddenly be together dancing the way to championship, you know. And like...
Too Cool Revisited.
It was a tweet last night. I'm sorry, I don't know his name right now. But he said, I bet someone at Titan Towers was like, Vince McMahon, how many tag teams we got? And he's like, we got 16. He's like, that's too many.
Yeah, I know. I was reading articles about how, it's the revitalization of the tag team ranks. But maybe not.
I thought it was, and then now it seems like it's all ending right in front of me. But I'll tell you what, SmackDown, I give it a B for just its ring action, and definitely for storyline pushing forward with Del Rio and Big Show on the parking lot.
Yeah, that's getting interesting.
Because Road to WrestleMania, my friend, is on. We're on it right now. Raw, I'd give a B-.
Yeah, no, I think Raw was good. I think the first hour was great. The second hour, not so much. And then bringing it home with Brock Lesnar at the end was a great moment. People are certainly talking about it.
Because now everyone's gonna I need to watch Raw now.
Yeah.
And then another thing, sometimes we talk about TNA here, Impact, sometimes.
Sure.
And they are leaving the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida. Gasp with me. Because I lived in Orlando, Florida for 4 years, and I went to Impact Zone for pay-per-views every month. You can't buy tickets. You have to wait in line all day, 8 hours in the hot sun to get inside that place. And the food was overpriced. It was crowded. It smelled. I'm so glad they're going to get out of there and maybe expand a little bit.
Yeah. No, well, they have to. I do kind of worry, though, because the thing that kind of attracts some of the talent that they have is that they're at the Impact Zone.
And the easy schedule.
They don't have to travel as much. So now that they kind of are branching out, what's that going to mean for some of the older talent that they have?
Kurt Angle and Jeff Hardy, who are like, hey, man, I'm just popping pills and living life.
Yeah, I know.
Hopefully, Kurt Angle
I listened to a podcast. I listened to a podcast with Rob Van Dam, who said that the schedule at WWE was just killing him, and after he left, he became a total diva, and would only do matches overseas because they paid more, and they gave him all this extra stuff, and then he came and started doing TNA because the schedule's easy.
Yeah.
Because Rob's never been.
It's guaranteed money,
right? And he's a laid back guy, and
he's being lazy.
Well, I wouldn't call him lazy.
Oh, I'm saying he's lazy. I'm saying that he's realized, hey, his name is enough to get him in the door.
Absolutely.
So he's like, hey, I'm Rob Van Dam. And they're like, okay, exactly. He's earned it. So he's not being lazy.
Well, I get a diva.
It's like, listen, I've worked my ass off. I went from bingo halls to WrestleManias, done it all. He's a great wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, he still brings it.
Yeah. I don't watch him. Last time I saw him in TNA, I think he fought Jerry Lynn, and those two have always had good matches.
Classics.
But seriously, man. Also, let's bring up a little thing here. It's February, and that means it's Attitude Month here at Weekend Wrestle Talk. And throughout the month, we'll be touting, we'll be tweeting, Facebooking, YouTubing, many different things about the Attitude Era, because we lived it, we breathed it. It was an era that never will be around again.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much shaped our perception of what wrestling is and what wrestling should be. Mm-hmm. So I think in order to understand our perspective, you need to understand the Attitude Era.
And just, I recall wearing shirts that said "Suck It" on it, and skeletons with a middle finger, Stone Cold Steve Austin shirts.
It's a different time.
I'm wearing a shirt that says like "Roll a Bone," the Ho Train. You know what I mean? Like I wonder if my teachers were looking at me, being like, "What is wrong with this kid?" Or just thinking, "Well, it's the times."
Well, yeah, I mean, wrestling in the Attitude Era was a lot more adult. It was a lot more vulgar. It was more sexual. It wasn't so much the cartoony comic book characters. It was more, Jerry Springer.
It's just so strange that things have changed so much where there are no more longer blood. There are no longer... Even concussions are such a big thing now in all sports where they don't take chair shots to the head any longer. Yeah. Just because of science, I guess, discovering what it actually does. Because obviously no one thought to themselves, hey, a chair shot to the head won't be damaging later on.
Well, do you really think that's what they thought?
No, not then.
I mean, that's like the people
now they think that.
Well, I think back then they thought that. I mean, that's like the people who were smoking back in the 60s. Yeah. Like, we had no idea it was bad for us. Really? Did you really think that cough that you're hacking up, like that's...
Because of nothing.
That's not a bad thing.
It must be the air.
Yeah, I mean, everybody coughs. I mean, I think we can all pretend like we didn't know the risks, but that's horseshit. When
I see those commercials for "Do not try this at home," I just think a kid sees that and he's like, "Man, I need to put down some cushions off my couch."
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves, Steve, because I think we're going to be doing a special podcast on the Attitude Era. So let's not blow our loads too early.
Oh my lord, I never heard that before. That's what she said.
Oh, that's not. I wasn't even thinking like that, Steve.
Well, the Royal Rumble certainly was a great event. Yep. The Rock, after 10 long years of not having the championship, defeats CM Punk. 434 days. Gone.
And what number title is this for The Rock?
I would say probably 7.
7. Well, I didn't look that up ahead of time. We don't have a stump, Steve, because I was lazy.
Because Ben didn't do his homework.
I know you all are broken up about it. We'll do 2 next time. All right. Looks like we're coming up on the hour now, Steve.
Looks like we're coming up.
So, thanks everyone again for joining us at Weekend Wrestle Talk. We will see you next weekend.
See you later.